Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to our Monday, November 10th, 2025 regular meeting of the school board for Community Unit School District 303. Ms. Marsan, would you please take roll?
Yes, Mrs. Bell.
Here.
Mrs. Hancock.
Here.
Mr. Kuchert.
Here.
Mr. Lackner is absent from tonight's meeting. Mrs. McCabe.
Here.
Dr. Rich.
Here.
Mrs. Fairgrave.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. Okay, and we will then move to section 2 on the agenda, reports to the board. Dr. Gordon, would you give a superintendent update?
Thank you, Mrs. Fairgrave.
Okay. Good evening. So first of all, congratulations and thanks for your service. Really, really appreciate it. Today I'm not here as the mayor. Today I'm here as committee chair. And I wanted to just let you know, some of you have heard us talk about this before, but this week is a really exciting week. It's what we call Comeback Week, where we recognize distinguished alumni who are coming back to celebrate with us on both Thursday and Friday. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about what we do, and I wanted to invite you to be a part of it. So first of all, since 1997, the district started the Distinguished Alumni Award. The idea behind the award was to recognize alums who came from the St. Charles high schools. Back then there was just one, now we have East and North, and to really celebrate the best of the best. And so since 1997, committee's been made up of faculty members, alums, and what they have done is gone through and selected alumni to come back. And then we recognize those individuals. So there's been over 75 alums that have been recognized. We have 4 more this year. Just to give you a little idea, we get nominations that are given to us throughout the entire year. If somebody doesn't get selected one year, they can stay on for as long as 5 years. The applications are just so much fun to read, and I know as a Board of Education you would be extremely proud to learn what our alumni do. I'm here today, I'm looking at swimmers and football players and students from St. Charles North and St. Charles East, and what I love the most about this week is that we celebrate them with a reception on Thursday, which is great, but when we talk to the alums about their favorite part of the week, it's when they go to the schools on Friday. So we have 4 alums that I would just love to tell you a little bit about. First is Dr. Catherine Nossel. She is a St. Charles North graduate, earned a Bachelor of Science from University of Michigan, then went on to Harvard and graduated from Harvard. She now works at Northwestern. She is a GBYN and OB doctor. But one of the things that in and of itself and what she's done is incredible, but what she's been recognized for is what she does for the residents and the students. She's a teaching doctor, and they talk in the application about the impact that she's made at a very young age, and so it's just wonderful for her to come back. We have Todd Bancroft, who was a council member for 10 years on the St. Charles Council, in addition to being the president and chief executive officer of Draper and Kramer, an international real estate company. Todd still lives in St. Charles. when you go through and you talk about professionally, that alone would be enough to make him a distinguished alum. But when you add that to the years of service that he had in addition to two St. Charles North grads. Then you have Anthony Harrison. If you guys haven't met Anthony, you need to meet Anthony. He is the founder of Harry Ant Screen Printing. If you have seen a shirt in St. Charles that has St. Charles Saints, St. Charles North, or really anything, 501c3, Anthony is probably the one that did the screen printing. Also employs St. Charles residents and St. Charles graduates. When you meet him, I think he's a lot, actually, when I look at Paul, I think of the same thing, energy, enthusiasm, and he just wants to just support St. Charles. And so what I love about his recognition is when we told him he was getting it, he said, how in the world could I get it? I'm just a St. Charles kid who's working here in St. Charles. We said, that's exactly why you're getting it, because you're a St. Charles kid who is making an impact each and every day in our community. And finally, we have James Miller. This is one of those that when they come back, we assign people to be their hosts. I don't want to be his host because he guides NASA. He worked for NASA for 20 years. He's advising senior leaders and representing NASA and the UN internationally. From 2005 to 2025, led NASA delegations to the United Nations, served under 2 administrations as the executive secretary of the National Space Council Users Advisory Group, and he was just recognized for working on a team to put a GPS device on the moon. So that intimidates me. As much as when I had to be the host to a guy that discovered black holes. So anyway, I just want to be here to tell you that, when you're talking about what the decisions you're making, the students you're serving, these are your students who are now out and still represent us. As a mayor, I couldn't be more proud to bring them back. Thursday, we're right here at 5 o'clock. We have a reception from 5 to 6. We invite anybody from the community who wants to come, and those alums get a chance to speak about what it was like to be a student, and then we get to hear what St. Charles has meant to them as they've gone on. So we're right here. Starts at 4:30, presentation starts at 5, and we would love to have you here. After that, we take them out to dinner at Giamia, and we would love to have you there. I know Dr. Gordon and Mr. Vaughn are going to be there, and we would love to have you. Just let Dr. Gordon know, and we will make sure to have a place where you can sit and talk to them. And then on Friday, they also, what time does school start? 7:20, and they are there at St. Charles North, then have lunch, then go over to St. Charles East, and they give us a full day, and our kids a full day. So most of all, I just wanted to say thank you for your support. Mike, where are you? He's been absolutely fantastic. But most importantly, it's a great day to be a D303 alum on Thursday and Friday, and wanted to make sure that you knew about it. So any questions? Thank you very much.
Glenn, thank
Have a
you for
great
always
night.
supporting D303. Nicely done. Next up, I would like to welcome Joe Benoit, Athletic Director at North High School, who's here to celebrate 2 outstanding North High School student athletes. Mr. Benoit, the microphone is yours.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Dr. Gordon and the Board of Ed. More importantly, thank you for recognizing 2 amazing student athletes that we will present to you tonight. Haley Bergdorf from volleyball and Lucas Tenbrock, both seniors. Lucas is a football player. Before I bring up their coaches and Lucas and Haley, you think about what it means to be a North Star, what it means to be a D303 student athlete. The 2 individuals that you're going to meet tonight absolutely embody all of the positive characteristics that we look for here in D303, and we could not be more proud. Being all conference is a big deal. Being all area is a really big deal. Being all state, that's pretty incredible. Tonight, we will present to you 2 All-Americans who we are just incredibly proud of. So I'd like to bring up right now our head volleyball coach, a little bit about our volleyball team this year. Duquesne Conference champions, undefeated for the last 2 years in conference play. They finished 35-3, won a regional and played for a sectional last Thursday. And Coach Rob Pomazak of our football team, our football program, is going strong. They are currently 10-1 and will play in the IHSA 7A quarterfinals this Saturday night against Brother Rice. So without further ado, let's bring up Coach Hawkins, Coach Pomazak, Haley, and Lucas.
Hello. Sorry, I had to write all this down because she's won a lot of things, so I had to remember it all. Haley Bergdorf has earned the prestigious honor of being named an Under Armour All-American, a recognition that highlights her exceptional talent, her hard work, her dedication and excellence both on the court and off. Just to give you a little slice of what makes this young woman so elite, she is the first player in our school's history to amass over 1,000 kills, and she now ranks in the top 15 all-time in Illinois for most career kills, and the top 10 in Illinois for most kills in a single season. While she's received countless awards in her time here, she's been all-conference, MVP of the conference, she has been all-area, she's been the captain of the all-area team, she's been the AVCA first team, IVCA first team, she's won it all, literally. But none are as great as this, being dubbed one of the top 28 players in the entire country. So, Haley Bergdorf.
Haley, we're not done with you.
Sorry.
You get to join the microphone. Talk to us a little bit. Where are you going next? What's so amazing in your life that's coming up?
Well, I'm grateful for just being here today and you guys allowing me to come up here and talk. And I'm thankful for St. Charles North and my coaches and my high school coaches and just my family for always being there for me. I'm planning to graduate early this winter, and I'm planning to start my academic and volleyball career at Penn State University. So I'm really excited to start that.
I bet you are. Congratulations
Thank
from
you.
all of us. We're incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm Robert Pomazek. I'm the head football coach at St. Charles North. I want to thank everybody for allowing us to have this opportunity. I'd like to introduce Lucas Tenbrock. Lucas is a Navy All-American. He's the first one in our school history to be dubbed as an All-American, and he is the #1 rated kicker in the country right now. And his stats, I could go into them, but I'll just say that he had 2 40-yard field goals on Saturday in about a 15-mile-an-hour wind and rain and snow, and help us get to the quarterfinals. And the best thing about Lucas is his work ethic. And he's been 2-time Specialist of the Year in our conference. He's helped us to be back-to-back conference champions, won over 21 games the last 2 years. And my privilege has been watching him mature and grow as a young man. His work ethic is second to none. He's the first person on the field. He's always spending the last 30 to 40 minutes by himself kicking, and he'll be highlighted on NBC on January 8th with the rest of the All-Americans, and he truly is one of the best in the country. When the other team is watching your kicker warm up and there's a crowd around him, you know you've got somebody special. So everybody, Lucas Tenbrock.
Lucas, tell us, what's your next stop on this incredible life journey that you've got going on right now?
Also, once again, thank you for having me here. It's a great honor to be recognized in front of D303, and it's a great honor to be representing St. Charles North. I'm going to be attending Iowa State next year. Pumped about it, can't wait. I'm not going to be early attending, but I hope to finish out my career at North with track as well. It's just a huge honor to be able to represent our school, and just pays loads of attention to the work that my coaches, my teammates, my friends and family have paid, both to me and to my craft.
Thank you so much. Very impressive, both of you, crazy impressive. All right, not to be outdone, we've got some amazing educators in the room. Matt Jeffries, I don't see you, but there you are. Come on up, assistant principal at East High School, to talk about 2 of our amazing science teachers.
One. I think I'm only talking
sorry.
one. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for having me here this evening. It's really our distinct honor and privilege. We're fortunate at St. Charles East, just like at North, to work with some really incredible educators. Here tonight, we're here to recognize Steve Mattheis. Also, our department chair, Matt Bullman, is here, so thank you both for being here. and Steve's family. I'm going to read off what Steve was recently recognized. If you've been on any of our socials, you may have seen some of this already. But on Friday, October 24th, Steve was awarded the 2025 High School Science Teacher of the Year by the Illinois Science Teachers Association. ISTA, which is a state branch of the National Association for Science Teachers, honors one teacher each year for outstanding leadership, achievement, and interest in the field of science throughout the entire state of Illinois. This year, there were over 50 nominees, more than any year since the inception of this award. Steve was selected based upon his incredible leadership related to his implementation of three-dimensional learning approach he's implemented in his classrooms as they relate to the next generation science standards. St. Charles East High School is proud to celebrate this award with Steve and his family and are honored to have him on our staff. Congratulations, Steve. You got to come up here.
So I was just accepted to Pennsylvania also.
Congratulations. Are you leaving early?
Yes. Sabbatical. Thank you guys very much. I'm really humbled. This is kind of an amazing award, and wouldn't be there without all the mentorship I get from my department, the great collaboration we have at East. It's been exciting. It's been a lot of fun. Very grateful and thankful.
Steve, we're just so proud of you. And this award recognizes all your hard work, all your dedication, the impact you make on our students each and every day. Just incredibly proud of you. Thank you for what you do and how you impact all those around you. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You can stay. You are more than happy to stay and hang out with us for a board meeting, or you can go and get prepared for class tomorrow morning. Your call. I know you have that front row, which is always kind of weird. Like, do we go? Do we not? Have a great night.
Thank you.
Next up, I would like to have Audra Christensen, Dr. Audra Christensen, and Atlee Smith join us up here to give us a brief update on our attendance work, which has gone exceptionally well.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to share this update with you. We're really going to be sharing an update of the work that we've been doing over the last couple of years, most specifically within the last year, and the progress being made relative to chronic absenteeism across the district. I am honored to introduce to you Atlee Smith, who is the Family Community Liaison and really spearheads all of this attendance-centric work.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if we have up here on the slide that you guys can probably see. There are some, are we pulling this slide up? Maybe not. Well, I'll continue. You will have a visual shortly. So again, it's nice to see everybody. I know it's been a while, but I'm really excited to show you guys the efforts and progress that have been made over the last year. On this next slide, it indicates a list of projects that have been undertaken over the last year within our district to directly address attendance. The check marks indicate projects that are completed. The circle with red arrows indicate projects that are in a recurring cycle. And the blank boxes indicate projects that are either in progress or have yet to be started. So as you know, the student handbook was updated to help create continuity across levels. And the attendance magnets that are noted here were distributed at the beginning of the 25-26 school year. Most of the tasks that are listed on this slide will be addressed within this update. Excuse me. However, we want to highlight the engagement of our students, our staff, and our parents with the collaboration and use of our voices, surveys, discussions, and our committee work. Before we talk about attendance today, we wanted to make sure everyone is operating from the same definition of chronic absenteeism. The attendance committee makes every decision that we make from a place rooted in data. And in order to work from a place of consistency, since we do compare data from year to year, we utilize the 10% threshold of chronic absenteeism from the Illinois School Code, and we use that as we analyze all of our comparative attendance data. So that's chronic absenteeism is the 10% or more, if a student misses 10% or more of school days in the most recent academic year, including absences with or without valid cause.
On this slide, you'll see a depiction of 8 years of report card data relative to the district's chronic absenteeism rate. You'll notice that in 2019, there was an increase. During that year, that was the first year that we really did some work around chronic absenteeism, specifically at the high school level. I happened to be principal at St. Charles North at that time, and Mr. Richter, who is current principal at East, and I collaborated to do some focus groups, to work with parents, to work with students, to really identify the root cause, because we were noticing an increase. We presented to the board in February of 2020, and in March, we were not in school for a bit. And so you'll notice that 2020 and 2021's data, that looks different than the other years. And of course, those were the years that were impacted by the pandemic. And so we had kind of a variety of attendance situations that went on during that time. Upon return, you see a large spike, which is something that is international, certainly nationally, known or seen across all grade levels at schools. And so you see that spike. Of course, that was a concern for us, and we began to pay different attention and really work on some different strategies to reduce that. You'll notice that since that year, we have had a reduction. In fact, we had a significant reduction from 24 to 25 school years. 2024 is the year that the attendance committee initiated their work, and so you can see the impact that their work had. And again, this is attendance or chronic absenteeism across the district, so across all grade levels. This next slide that I'm going to share with you really focuses in on the last 3 years and focuses in on the attendance by grade level. And again, this is chronic absenteeism. And so you can see that the gray line is the one that is the most recent, 24-25, and you'll notice that there are some variances. One of the things I'd like to call your attention to is first grade through fifth grade, and you'll notice that that grade line has gone down over the course of the years, and certainly what it indicates to us is the impact that our work on attendance with the attendance committee has produced. Also, I would like to call your attention, actually I wouldn't like to, but I will, from 6th grade through 12th grade, and you'll notice that there's a crescendo from 6th grade through 12th grade in that gray line, an increase in chronic absenteeism for those different grade levels. As I mentioned, it appears that for grades 1 through 5, the work of the attendance committee has made an impact in a positive direction, and we're still looking and have been looking at what is the difference with 6th through 12th grade. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but certainly their voice and identification of the root cause has been part of the work that we're now embarking on.
Can I ask one quick question? For missing a day, when you're collecting this data, do you have to miss a whole entire day? Is it if you miss 4 hours? What counts as a missed day? Or is it just one period?
So it's period by period, but it is cumulative. So if you miss first period 8 days, then that counts as 1 day. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so we are going to present to you our data is sliced into blocks. So we refer, as noted in the student handbook, that we look at data or as attendance in 8 blocks. That is the start of the year to midterm to quarter, and so on and so forth through the remainder of the year. Those are roughly 20 to 23 days. Block 1 is 21 days, and those are maintained through the school year, so we can have consistent comparative data. On this first slide, we are looking at elementary students that are meeting chronic absenteeism for Block 1. Some things to note on this slide. This is the orientation that the next few slides are going to be looking like, so I want to kind of orient you to a few things. The green number in the lower right corner shows the net change in students meeting chronic absenteeism threshold between the 23-24 school year and this current school year. So this slide indicates that we've reduced our chronic absenteeism rate at the EC elementary level by 6.8% since the 23-24 school year. The enrollment for each school year is indicated on the right-hand side. And then, as Audra had said, we see a pretty significant drop between the 23-24 and 24-25 school year. That 24-25 school year is the year that the absenteeism committee or the attendance committee started meeting monthly. We started really having that district-wide conversation on attendance and started putting some of those district-wide strategies in place. Here we have the same block one period of time, but at the middle school level. So we have reduced at the middle school level our chronic absenteeism rate over the last 3 years by 4.5% from the 23-24 school year till now. And then at the high school level, we, at the beginning of the school year, so those first 21 days, have reduced our chronic absenteeism rate by 7%. Block two is 22 days. So if you consider students who get, Audra and I looked at this today, if you consider students who have received a letter at all this school year, we had some pretty interesting findings. You know, are they the same students getting letters both times, or are they new students getting letters? Out of the whole pool of students who have gotten any letter, 26.4% received a letter for both blocks. 28% or 28.6 only got a block one letter, and 45% got a block two letter. So that's showing us that there's quite a large subsection of students that are not repeating those blocks. So it's showing us as a committee that having that resources and the knowledge and information that those letters and that contact and those bridges of communication can be beneficial to those families. Our block two data is very exciting. Our elementary and EC students, we've seen a reduction of 10.9% of our chronic absenteeism rate over the last 3 years. So again, there is a very large drop that year that our attendance committee started, but overall that's a 10.9% reduction in our chronic absenteeism rate in the EC elementary level. At the middle school level, we've noticed a reduction in the chronic absenteeism rate by 7.2% over the last 3 school years. And at the high school level, this is super exciting to say, we have seen a 9.3% reduction in chronic absenteeism over during block two. Historically, block two, we see a very large spike in chronic absenteeism. And this year specifically, the jump of students, so the jump between block one and block two is the smallest that it has been. That's another really big celebration. We didn't see a really big leap between the student number we had in block one and block two. It was actually the smallest jump that we've seen since we started monitoring data. The next big kind of lift that the absenteeism or attendance committee has done, it was inspired by our in-person student focus group that we did last year. We weren't quite happy with the end number. We surveyed 17 students in person, and we said, you know, that's not enough. We got feedback by the attendance committee, the superintendent's leadership council, and the cabinet. And we ended up successfully serving 5,156 secondary students. So it's 80% of our secondary student population that had their voices heard. We had thematic sections of perceptions of attendance and value, family expectations and support, barriers to attendance after being absent, and then 3 open-ended questions. In full transparency, we have not analyzed the open-ended questions yet because that's 15,000. It's a lot. We have begun to dive through those quantitative answers. We wanted to give you a very high-level overview of just some of those answers. The first column is our 6 through 12. The second is our middle school answers, and the third column is our high school. So just an example, if you look at the very top, the closer the number is to 1, the closer the 5,156 students disagree with this statement, the closer it is to the number 4, the more they strongly agree with this statement. So if you take the top statement, attending school every day is important to graduating or reaching my future goals, that's a 3.41. So that would be on the high favorable end of agree and strongly agree. Whereas if you go down to the 4th one, I avoid school when I feel that I have a conflict with my peers, that was an aggregate of 1.8. So that is a fairly strongly disagree and disagree statement across our secondary population. Again, almost 5,200 students, so it's a pretty confident final number. This is a very high level overview. We had almost 30 questions that were asked. So we are just beginning to dive into what all of this means, what we can do with this information, but having such a high level or and a rich level of response and voice from our students is really going to inform some of our next steps.
And we are looking, as we continue our work with the parent committee that meets quarterly, we are looking to create, for example, on Wednesday night when we meet next, we'll be designing the parent survey that we intend to be shared with all families beginning in January, probably towards the end of January, but a survey so the parents will help us to generate the questions or the items for that survey. So in addition to collecting student voice and having staff voice represented, we will also be collecting parent and family voice as well. And that is our update.
Quick question for you. Just going back to slide number 5, although the last several slides that we went over, it appears that at each of the grade levels, the data is trending a little bit better, year 25, 26. And I know you have yet to done the qualitative analysis of some of that feedback, but surely the committee probably has some ideas as to why the data was trending in what I would call the wrong direction. We've heard some feedback about start times for the class day. What types of discussions have happened with the committee regarding trying to draw like a causal linkage to why we saw that increase, albeit seeing a decrease now at least I think every level from 24, 25 to 25, 26. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So there are, there's quite a few candid or parts of the candid conversation that the attendance committee has had. Some of it has to do with, students get cars their junior year. Some of it has to do with things that I didn't even realize. My tenure in D303 before I stepped into this position was in elementary. I didn't realize you could skip your lunch to have an extra class. There's a lot of modifiable things at the secondary level that the attendance committee has been looking at to see if it doesn't necessarily have an impact. We're looking at, again, that's why the sections were created in the student survey, is the perception on their experience here. Is it friends? Is it teachers? Is it everything we supposed, everything we guessed, we wanted to ask because I kind of got tired of guessing and I just wanted to ask. Is it mental health? Is it transportation? Is it start times? What is it? Because I can't fix it if I don't know what it is.
And that really is the purpose of that survey that we gave to students, was to identify, see what we could do to glean some of the root causes for their absence. And so there were a lot of questions that, again, as Atlee talked about, in terms of connections with staff, welcoming back from being absent, access to schoolwork upon return or during your absence, talking about vacations, and is that a part of your absenteeism? And so we collected the data on all of that. So we have the quantitative data that we're in the process of kind of digging through and analyzing before we jump to those open-ended questions. But those open-ended questions were really focused in on what are some of the reasons that you do go to school on a daily basis. What are some of the questions or some of the reasons why you might not choose to go to school? And what are some things that your school could do to help improve your attendance? And so as we analyze all of that qualitative data and identify the themes and the reasons that are shared, that will definitely be, will give us a lot of insight. We also, one of the things that was curious to us, and we're eager for parent conversation and certainly the parent survey, is the overall, that students see the value in going to school and the connection with their future. And they also indicate a strong, probably the strongest of the sections was the parent support and the family support and the family expectations. I believe that was the highest rated, is my parents expect me to go to school every day. And so wanting to get that information from the parents and really kind of find a way to share the idea that and the thought that and the fact that the students see their family as the largest influence of them attending school. And that may or may not be what they perceive. And so be able to have that information. And then another thing that we're working on is some resources for all families, not just those that get block letters, but for all families, as to what are some ways that you can respond to your student if they're saying, I don't feel like going to school today. Like, what are some of the sentence starters or some of the conversations to have to really help to reinforce their role and their influence as a parent?
Yeah, I definitely get that argument from my kids as well, and I tell them I don't want to go to work either, but here I go. One small follow-up question to that, and I know we've discussed this before, Audra, so forgive me for forgetting, but where does tardiness fit into this equation as well? If we're talking about, students being late to first, second hour, and so forth.
It doesn't fit into chronic absenteeism because that is not being present at school, whether that is excused or unexcused. It is literally, are they physically at school or not? And so tardies don't factor into that.
I have a question about that, because just a couple minutes ago, you explained how if you're chronic, or if you're absent to first hour 8 times, then that does fall into this. So do you have that number broken out for first and second hour?
I don't offhand.
Okay.
That could be something that we look into. But not attending first or second hour are considered absences and not tardies, as odd as that sounds. Tardy is if you're late past the bell.
Sure, I'm
Sorry,
thinking more, yep, 100%. I was thinking more students that don't arrive at school until second or third hour, so then they're chronically absent to first or second hour.
Got that. We can look at that.
I have a couple questions about the numbers. So we have a high number of chronically absent kids on your graph on 5. And senior year always seems to be the highest number. I wonder why. But if I'm reading this right, this year it's really high, right?
This was last year's data?
Okay, so the completed year. So
Correct.
it was high last year. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I wondered, because the rest of it looks like we're going down.
And I would anticipate that this will look very different. And maybe we'll start a day crescendo.
The other
shall
question I had was, your survey is for all kids, right? Did you also survey the kids who are chronically absent separately? Can you tease them out of the survey? Do you know what I'm saying? Am I saying it right?
You are. We're unable to tease by individual student, but that is something that as we continue forward with the survey, that is an aspect of the survey tool that we use, that we're going to be leaning into being able to collect that information so that we can disaggregate the data with different demographics. Could be absenteeism, could be chronic absenteeism, or any other particular group of students we'd like to be able to subsection.
Because it would be interesting to see how someone else answers it rather than the whole group.
Right.
Because we would have positive answers for coming to school means something important, but maybe the chronically absent student might have a different.
Perhaps.
And wondering how you tease that out to give the resources and supports for students in that.
In this
area.
initial round of the survey, we're not able to do that, but we do anticipate moving forward, because we do anticipate that we will continue the use of the survey moving forward, that we'll be able to tease it.
And I think I can't speak for the board, I can only, but this is an important aspect, and I think resources are important. So when you get to the place where this is what we need, you have a board that's probably willing to listen. But I don't speak for the board.
I do not. Thank you.
I had a question on slide 5. So when you're comparing the 3 years, did you ensure the definition was consistent then?
We did.
Okay.
And we used the school report card data to determine this information.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Feargreave, back to you.
Okay, we would like to move to board member committee reports. So if we can start with business services.
You bet. Monday, October 27th, we had our last business services meeting. And some of the things that we covered were the tax levy presentation, great information, and that's recorded. If you're not familiar with what the tax levy is or how it's determined, I would recommend going back and watching that. And then we will take action on the tax levy determination resolution this evening. Another thing up for action is the Richmond Addition and Redling Gym Floor. This is a project that was previously approved, and for action tonight is to approve the bid with the construction company that is being recommended. And then on the consent agenda for this evening is school maintenance project grant, $50,000 of state monies to be able to use towards the Davis parking lot improvements. And then also a computer refresh throughout the district, replacing aging machines district-wide, starting with the oldest machines first. And then I'll end with the good news is that we also have on our consent agenda a return of unused funds for the Lincoln School renovation project, which is always great, right? Yeah, awesome. Thanks, that's it.
Thank you. Next update from Learning and Teaching.
Okay. The Learning Services Committee met on October 20th at 5:30. Dr. Christensen delivered an update on the academic program guide, which is replacing the course offering book. The APG will be an online interactive tool for our students, staff, and families, organized around 28 board-approved pathways that currently exist in D303. Dr. Christensen highlighted a few pathways, including journalism, culinary arts, graphic arts, and marketing, and indicated the recommended courses, related core courses, post-secondary opportunities, and the courses students in middle school might take if they're interested in that particular pathway. And then we also heard from Ms. Stahl, who led a discussion on early college and career opportunities and recommended course adoptions, including fire science and criminal justice pathways at ECC, and AP business principles and personal finance, which are on the consent agenda tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hancock, for that update. Anything from a housing committee standpoint?
Our next meeting is this week, Thursday at 7 p.m. at City Hall. So we will be discussing project being proposed as a combination in working collaboration between the city and Lazarus House. So I probably will have an update depending on what report they bring to us. So I'll have something next month.
Thank you. Okay, next we will move to citizen comments, and we do have comments this evening. So with that, Mrs. McCabe, if you could read the notice.
During the public comment period, members of the public body who wish to speak are asked to first state their name and the community in which they reside. Each individual will have up to 3 minutes to address the board on a topic of their choosing. Once the speaker has reached the 3-minute limit, a timer will sound and the speaker will be asked to finish their comment. We ask all individuals who address the board to do so with respect and civility towards others. Please note that personnel matters are sensitive and confidential. We also want to inform our speakers that all regular, special, and committee meetings are live streamed and available for viewing at any time on the district's YouTube channel. Personal information should be considered before making a statement that will be recorded and made public. While the board will not respond to today's public comment during this meeting, we are committed to listening to you to help support our work for the district and on behalf of our students, staff, families, and community members.
Thank you. I would ask Mr. Max Pombert to come forward.
Hello. My name is Max Pombert, and I also represent my wife, Allison Mulhern. We have a first grader and a kindergartner at Fox Ridge. Much has been said at prior meetings about the status of classrooms at Fox Ridge, so I will only add our experiences. When our son was in kindergarten last year, we heard numerous stories of children in classrooms with problematic behavior that has made it extremely difficult for teachers to educate their students. While this did not affect our child at the time, we grew increasingly concerned that this would carry over into this year, and it clearly has. Our son has brought to attention alarming behavior shown by specifically one student in his classroom. That student has both verbally and physically assaulted our son, as well as multiple other first graders and the teacher. For example, said student became upset during music class and repeatedly slapped our son. It wouldn't stop until the teacher and a few classmates pulled them off of him. What is even more alarming was that we had not been informed of these incidents, save for one from the music teacher, and it wasn't until 7:30 that night. The most alarming incident happened at recess, where said student does not have a behavioral aid. They approached our son's friend and said, "I'm going to kill you." Our son stepped in to help his friend, and the student in question said to my son, "I'm going to crack your head open and break your legs." We only learned about this from our son and other parents, even though it was a recorded event. His teacher was aware of the event, but did not know that the student had threatened our son. My son is afraid of that student, yet they were allowed back in the classroom after each incident with an aide, but not necessarily with the aide for the remainder of the day. What is most disheartening is how normalized this behavior is from this perspective. He tells us about children screaming and hitting in his classroom in a very nonchalant manner. I am deeply concerned that he will begin to believe that this is normal behavior in the classroom. We work very hard to teach our children right from wrong, but he is seeing other students face zero accountability or consequences for their behavior. Additionally, we have spoken with other parents who have also said from their child's perspective these behaviors are normal and tolerated at school. When we spoke with the principal, we were met with technical jargon and procedural comments, a description of the process that frankly is not working. We specifically asked for an aide to be with the child throughout the entire day, and her response was, "I'm not sure that can happen." I want to commend the teachers, especially our son's teacher, who's gone above and beyond to help keep him and his classmates safe. They are supposed to be teaching our children and making them feel safe, but they are constantly disrupted and put in frightful positions repeatedly to deal with these situations. They deserve a safe and supportive work environment. We are going to lose them. We need an immediate public plan outlining how the administration will handle high aggression incidents, guaranteeing a student safe removal and clear, stringent re-entry policy. We cannot allow our children and our teachers to be terrorized. We need transparency. We need clear, concrete action now. Additionally, teachers must have support from the administration regarding these behavioral students. We need to allocate funding for immediate, dedicated full-time behavioral aides to be assigned to high-needs classrooms or students, relieving our certified teachers of this burden. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, I would like to ask Ms. Heather Austin forward.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Heather Austin. I'm a parent of students at Redling, Norton Creek, and Fox Ridge. You may have seen an email from me earlier today in response to a recent email from Dr. Gordon. I want to thank you for your time tonight and for your ongoing attention to the concerns surrounding Fox Ridge Elementary. I also want to thank Dr. Gordon for his detailed response and for sharing the 5 essentials data and academic performance information via that email. I truly appreciate the work that it went into putting that together and explaining that information. I know that was a lot. However, as I've reviewed the data, I can't help but notice what it doesn't show. It doesn't show the growing number of parents who have lost trust in the building administration to successfully lead Fox Ridge in the areas of safety, academics, and school culture. It doesn't show teachers who are already planning to leave Fox Ridge, in some cases our district, at the end of this school year. It doesn't show the substitute teachers who refuse to take assignments at Fox Ridge because of the current leadership. It certainly doesn't show what our students feel each day. The data doesn't show how a child feels when their principal doesn't know their name. It doesn't show how they feel when they walk into school in the morning and there are no adults outside to greet them or make them feel welcome. It doesn't show how families feel when they are not welcomed into the building to be part of their child's learning community. It doesn't show what it's like for a student to be assigned a seat at lunch far from their friends in a space that should be about connection and belonging. These are not numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real experiences that define a school's culture and determine whether students, families, and teachers feel valued and supported. I also wanted to ask for clarification on something mentioned in the district's response. Fox Ridge was described as having received an exemplary designation from the Illinois State Board of Education. Could you please, when you have a chance, Dr. Gordon, let me know when was that designation given? I may have missed that detail, but I believe it's important context for understanding how current conditions compare to the data used in that rating. As a parent with children in both Fox Ridge and Norton Creek, I can also speak firsthand to the disparities between the two schools academically and culturally. When my now sixth grader transferred back to Norton Creek, his new class was an entire math module ahead of where his Fox Ridge class had been, and his previous teacher hadn't been using the district-approved grading rubric. At Norton Creek, there's also, this year, a second grade math enrichment group that's been meeting since October, while a similar group at Fox Ridge still hasn't started. I share all of this because I believe Fox Ridge can be a great school, but right now too many families and teachers have lost faith that it's being led in a way that prioritizes trust, safety, and consistent academic excellence. We all want the same thing, a school where students feel seen, families feel welcomed, and teachers feel supported. I hope the board and district leadership will take these concerns to heart and continue to look beyond the data to the real human experiences that define Fox Ridge every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would ask Ms. Terry McCann forward, please.
Sorry, I'm short. Good evening. I am a parent who resides in St. Charles and has 2 children in the district. Tonight, I would like to address 2 separate topics: Fox Ridge and the state report card that our district has received. I appreciate your indulgence and patience for a few extra minutes. In recent meetings, we learned that the implementation of LRE and other policies at Fox Ridge has had a significant impact on student learning. There are some similarities at Munhall based on feedback from concerned parents in my neighborhood, but the Fox Ridge parents speaking about classroom evacuations, disruptions, and all of that has been very hard to listen to as a parent of students who can be disruptive. The parents who have been speaking out, though, are kind, thoughtful, and not looking to create division or cast blame on the disruptive students necessarily. They're looking for help, support, and leadership. This is precisely what the disabled and special needs community was asking for when we sent our letter back on March 10th. However, we did not receive anything of the sort. Meeting after meeting, we asked for help, both myself and others. And due to my persistence, I was invited to a personal meeting to discuss my communications. When I suggested that the parents who were involved in the letter be invited as well, that offer was quickly rescinded. An email then was sent to me implying that I was to blame for the lack of a response and for the fact that there would be no meeting with the district's disabled community that would take place. This June 18th, 2025 email also noted student privacy, but it was secondary to my advocacy, and noted that the board does not recognize my own advocacy as well as other parents' advocacy for disabled students. My filing of complaints and due process for one of my 2 students in the district was also a significant issue that disallowed any conversation with the board. But for non-disabled students whose parents spoke out, a public statement of support was made at the very next meeting after the October 14th board meeting. The district made a public acknowledgement of the issues at Fox Ridge, a pledge to address them, and parents were encouraged to continue speaking up. This is the exact opposite of what we in the disabled community within the district were told. We were encouraged not to contact the board, as expressed in that June 18th email that was sent to me by Dr. Gordon, who shared his and Ms. Fairgreaves' views of what parents of children with disabilities should do. We should work with our IEP teams in schools. We are directed away from contacting our elected officials or speaking to the board. However, the board and the district are the local education agency, and they are responsible for ensuring compliance with IDEA. The issues we noted in our letter were all of a general nature and completely acceptable to discuss in public. District was not required to release any personal information in discussing these topics, as was easily demonstrated in the emails they sent to me and later to parents who signed the letter. Although there was some misleading information as well in this response. The disabled community still deserves better than what they received. We should be treated like the parents at Fox Ridge, and not like the district is ashamed of us or our students. The silence from the district speaks volumes. Next, I want to address the state report card that's been released. For our students with disabilities, it has been a mixed bag. The report includes the state performance plan, which examines specific markers, to assess the progress of students with IEPs. We have several indicators where we are not meeting benchmarks. There continues to be a large gap between assessment scores for students with IEPs and those who do not have IEPs. These gaps exceed the state standards and have for some years, as we parents pointed out in our letter in March. Now, we did see some improvement this current year, with most of the gaps shrinking by some points. I also want to give credit to our amazing teachers, paras, and parents in the community for all of the hard work that they do day in and day out to make that possible. The report, however, does not follow the same students year after year to report on the growth of the same group of students, but instead it looks at 3 grade bands, grade 4, grade 8, and grade 11, making it difficult to judge progress. However, according to indicators, the report does show that while we have more students with IEPs being mainstreamed, we also have an increase in outplacement, a rise in the dropout rate, and a decrease in the graduation rate for students with IEP. I think it's past time to talk to the parents and address the issues. The IEP teams are having a hard time addressing the needs of students and teachers, and the paras need more, the paras need more support and training. We need the leadership to listen and engage in conversation with us. We are waiting and ready to work with you. Thank you.
May I ask Ms. Jennifer Rotundo forward, please?
Hello, mine is really short and sweet. I am a parent of an elementary school student at Munn Hall. Our principal is amazing, just so you know. He greets us, he knows every single student. He is just amazing. I wish I had a principal like that when I was growing up. I am an employee of D303. This is my second year as a substitute teacher. And I am pursuing initial licensure for teaching middle school through an online master's program. And so in learning about all the things that I'm learning about with middle school and adolescents through my studies, I know that social relationships are key for their development of adolescence. So just wondering, we have 2 middle schools and 2 high schools. Why, as far as the boundaries and where the students attend, why not send middle school A to high school A and middle school B students to high school B as cohorts so they can continue to strengthen their relationships rather than splitting them apart? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to ask Ms. Carrie Ann Harry forward, please.
My name is Carrie Ann Harry, and I'm with the Fox Ridge community. I would like to acknowledge and thank Dr. Gordon and the district for taking the time to respond to the concerns and data that were emailed to the district and board last week. Per the email response from Dr. Gordon, I would like to point out that if the district's top priority is safety, then the current leadership at Fox Ridge is not the right leadership for the job. Teachers and staff have been saying for years that safety is not just about doors being locked, drills being performed, and training being implemented. It is about listening. It is about taking concerns seriously, even when they become uncomfortable and inconvenient. It is the acknowledgement that the adults in the classroom often see things first because they are living in that moment and within those walls every single day. When teachers say a child is escalated, when teachers say something or someone feels unsafe, when teachers say we need more support and leadership, they must be heard. Not dismissed, not told their communication is not needed at this time, and certainly not making the effort to minimize what is happening. Waiting until harm happens is not safety. It is reaction, and our school deserves better than just reaction. It is a staple message in our country that if you see something, say something. The community at Lincoln and the community at Fox Ridge have been saying something for years. The topic of failed leadership is not something that has only been brought up these past couple of months. I would implore each of you to take the inconvenient and uncomfortable route before something far worse than the diminished behaviors happen in our school. If parents have the courage to say something and are willing to communicate with the highest level of authority in this school district, that is saying something in itself. We have been pushed past the point of following the chain of command. The district should want teachers, staff, and parents who make up the district feel welcome and safe communicating their concerns. The utmost important thing I was ever taught was to listen. Listen to what people are actually saying, not what you want to hear. In the response email sent to parents, the behaviors were labeled as small and few. Specific examples brought forth to leadership over the past few weeks have included the threat to kill classmates, the action of stabbing a teacher with a pair of scissors, and the threat to chop off the legs of a fellow classmate. With all due respect, these certainly do not feel small. It only takes one. It takes one action, one student, one failed communication, and one absent leader for something far worse to happen. I would question how our children are supposed to learn when constantly exposed to adverse childhood experiences. It is extremely hard as a student to open your math book, listen to instruction, focus and retain what you are being taught, while the student next to you just threatened to chop your legs off. After a quick break and a snack of goldfish, this student is then returned to the classroom, and the adults who did return them are telling you to just move on and let it go. Furthermore, you go home and report this scary behavior to your parents, so your parents then call school because they are never told of such traumatic events, and that phone call is met with unprofessionalism, denial, and lies of how it was handled. It is hard for me to process such a thing, let alone a 6 or 8-year-old. Kindly explain to me how my child is supposed to achieve the academic standards set forth by this district while experiencing such daily trauma. Are they really being set up for success through middle school and high school? Our students have significant academic loss and are not being afforded the hierarchy of learning, especially its very first pillar being the ability to remember. Students are remembering the feeling of being anxious, nervous, and unsafe, not their ELA and math lessons. This is something that is being felt nationwide, and why there is a twofold argument being set forth by teachers, staff, and parents of this district. Parents of Fox Ridge feel that the complexity of ours is having a leader who is fighting against us, not with us. We have all come forth with respect, dignity, facts, and data. We have kept our emotions in check. We have given grace to leadership one too many times. We have offered to be a part of the solution, not just a group of people complaining. Please afford us the opportunity to make things better for our children and preserve the foundational years of their educational career. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask Ms. Diane Feiser. My apologies.
Hi, I'm Diane Feisik. I live in St. Charles and have kids at Fox Ridge. Good evening. I'm here again to express my concern about the behavioral issues at Fox Ridge and ask for action. Thank you for giving us the time and space to share our perspectives, both here and through emails and meetings over the past weeks. I want to acknowledge that you have listened, and I'm grateful for that. It was shared that through those conversations, it was shared that the Illinois State Board of Education recently rated Fox Ridge as exemplary, placing it at the top 10% of schools in the state. As a parent, I do see the positives too. My first and second graders are excited about their schoolwork. They devour books and show off their math skills at the dinner table. Their teachers have fostered curiosity, confidence, and joy in learning, and for that I'm truly thankful. However, acknowledging what is good cannot mean ignoring what is deeply concerning. The behavioral challenges we are seeing, while caused by a small number of students, are affecting the entire school community. Teachers are spending significant time managing extreme behaviors, time that should be spent teaching. Students who are following expectations are being disrupted, frightened, or simply unable to learn. And students who are struggling are not receiving the structured, consistent support they need to grow and be successful. We cannot afford to let this continue. If we do, we risk losing the very teachers who are the heart of our school. And once they leave, the excellence we're proud of will be far more difficult to restore. Right now, the systems in place to address behavioral issues are not working. What we need are clear, consistent processes that support everyone. Teachers need more staffing and administrative support to manage behaviors in the moment, not after the fact. Students exhibiting challenging behaviors who need structured, targeted intervention plans, not simply being redirected back into classrooms without support. And the remainder of our students who deserve classrooms that are safe, calm, and focused on learning. We are all here because we share the same goal: safe, supportive schools where every child can learn and thrive. To achieve that, we need action that reflects the seriousness of the challenges we're facing. At Curriculum Night, both of my son's teachers referenced Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It was a reminder that students must feel safe before they can engage, grow, and reach higher levels of learning. Right now, many students do not consistently feel that safety in their classrooms. If the foundational need for safety is not met, we cannot reasonably expect our children to reach their full academic potential. Our district has ambitious educational goals, and our students and families share those aspirations. But without addressing these basic needs first, these goals simply cannot be realized. I ask that you thoughtfully and urgently address these issues, make the needed improvements, and ensure that families are kept informed about the changes moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to give those comments this evening. That concludes our citizen comments. Now moving to section 4 would be our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 4A through 4O?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. McCabe. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kuchert. Any discussion or questions at this time? Okay. Ms. Marsan, would you please take the roll call vote?
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Kuchert?
Yes.
Mrs. McCabe?
Yes.
Dr. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairgrave?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Now moving to section 5 for action on the agenda. Our first item is the 2025 tax levy determination resolution. Can I have a motion to approve the 2025 tax levy determination resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. McCabe. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hancock. Any discussion at this time? Okay, Ms. Marsan, please take the roll call vote.
Mr. Kuchert?
Abstain.
Mrs. McCabe?
Yes.
Dr. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairgrave?
Yes, the motion passes with 5 yes and 1 abstain. Item B is the Richmond Addition and Redling Gym Floor Replacement Construction Award. Can I have a motion to approve the Richmond Addition and Redling Gym Floor Replacement Award to Pepper Construction?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hancock. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kuchert. Any discussion or questions at this time? Okay.
I had a quick question.
Okay.
This is more of
Sorry
just a
about that.
curiosity thing. I was just curious why these two measures were coming as one vote.
I'll have Amanda come up, but I believe it was because of cost savings, because of Pepper Construction being able to utilize their services and expand it. Amanda, am I close to that? I believe I was.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some shared costs that we get by taking advantage of Pepper's construction management services. So even some of those time savings, we put the drawings out together, we had pre-bid same days, we have bid openings same days, they process the paperwork together, so there's just efficiencies in there. We have the ability, when we go to make the award in our system or issue purchase orders, these will be separate purchase orders. The charges for each individual project will be split accordingly, and we'll have issued separate purchase orders to track. But for the intent of the award, we bid it together, so we are awarding it together.
And Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, those were summer projects, those weren't just new add-on projects as well?
Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
And you answered my follow-up question already. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great.
Any other questions? Okay. Ms. Marsan, please take the roll call vote.
Mrs. McCabe?
Yes.
Dr. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairgreen?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. And the final item under for action is the IASB resolution, school bus safety funding. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution committee's recommendation to adopt the IASB resolution regarding school bus safety funding?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Bell. Any questions or discussion?
Just for the record, this is unusual to have one resolution. We usually have 30. So it's unusual to have one. And this seems to be an item that I can only imagine will pass with flying colors. And again, it doesn't mean it will happen. It's just asking IASB to lobby to have a bill in the legislature to cover this. So just to make it clear.
If you vote yes on the resolution, you are voting to adopt the school bus safety funding resolution. Okay. Ms. Marsan, would you please take the roll call vote?
Dr. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert?
Yes.
Mrs. McCabe?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairgreen?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Moving to section 6 for information on your agenda, we do have 4 standing items in the packet. So the D303 Financial Services Report, the Mid-Valley Financial Report, Freedom of Information Act or FOIA requests, and our district enrollment. Do any board members have new business items that they would like to introduce? Okay. And we do have some citizen comments, it looks like. So Mrs. McCabe, would you please read our notice?
During the public comment period, members of the public body who wish to speak are asked to first state their name and the community in which they reside. Each individual will have up to 3 minutes to address the board on a topic of their choosing. Once the speaker has reached the 3-minute time limit, a timer will sound and the speaker will be asked to finish their comment. We ask all individuals who address the board to do so with respect and civility toward others. Please note that personnel matters are sensitive and confidential. We also want to inform our speakers that all regular, special, and committee meetings are live streamed and available for viewing at any time on the district's YouTube channel. Personal information should be considered before making a statement that will be recorded and made public. While the board will not respond to today's public comment during this meeting, we are committed to listening to you to help support our work for the district and on behalf of our students, staff, families, and community members.
Thank you, Mrs. McCabe. May I ask Ms. Diana Soltis forward, please?
Good evening. My name is Diana Soltis, and usually I stand before this board discussing academics in a neutral zone and at standard grade levels, a 90, 80, 70, 60, not at the new state standards, which is very disappointing. However, tonight I come before the board to plead for the citizens of D303 regarding the potentially proposed $400 million referendum regarding the needed health, life, and safety projects that have been deferred over the years. I also have many capital improvement projects, maintenance and repair projects that need to be done on my home. However, I must put myself on a practical maintenance plan, determine what are most crucial and what I can realistically afford. I must re-examine and reevaluate the schedule every few months and determine what has changed and adjust accordingly. Most importantly, I must work within my means. I don't have the luxury of taxing anyone to receive more revenue, even if I didn't plan accordingly. With Kane County citizens getting additional recent hit from increased gas and grocery and other taxes, many are getting taxed out of their ability to even live here. I know many friends who are struggling, and the board needs to discuss how it got a $400 million deficit in the first place when only 3 to 4 million is allocated to capital improvement projects annually, CIPs. Please start by examining what is truly, truly necessary on a 5, 10, and 15-year basis. Can there be efficiencies from bidding? Maybe multiple projects at once, and the execution and payment occur over multiple years? What grant opportunities are available and anticipated in the next several years? Are the district's growth projections practical? And can there be better investments made within the funds? Most importantly, where can we cut? Not only from the CIP's maintenance and repairs, but the entirety of the budget in order to make the most needed repairs. Scrape that budget, look at the operations fund, the fund balance, the working cash debt, additional debt from health, safety, and life, and consider this referendum carefully. Review everything with a fine-tooth comb to reduce, or better yet, eliminate what is being asked of your constituents. The current model is not sustainable. We all must make sacrifices, but it can't always come from the pocketbooks of the taxpayers of the district, especially when 70% of our tax bill is already funding the district. It'll be of great surprise to everyone, and I think that we have to look at a plan to better maintain these various improvements, whether they be CIPs or maintenance or repairs. And again, ask the district's prudence in its management and its fiduciary on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn to closed session for the purposes of security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to an actual, a threatened, or a reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, the public, or public property, the placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students. And finally, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Bell. Can I have a second? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kuschert. Ms. Marsan, would you please take the roll call vote?
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert?
Yes.
Mrs. McCabe?
Yes.
Dr. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Fairgrave?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. The board will adjourn to closed session at 7:19 p.m.